I think I'm live. Guys, I am so sorry for these technical issues. We're 15 minutes late, so I hope that some of you guys can still hop on. I'm so excited to be sharing with you with my roots and my overgrown nails and my 32-week pregnant belly. A lot of cool lessons I've learned and things that I do with my team and my challengers when it comes to recognition and it comes to loving people at every activity level. So I think we're good. I'm just going to pull up the comments on my laptop. We had a little bit of a network issue. I tried joining from my desktop, my computer on Zoom. And so I have my phone plugged in right now and we should be good to go. All right, cool. All right, we're on. So my name is Chelsea Pearson. I know that I don't know a lot of you guys and you don't know me. I want to give you just a very quick background on where I started from. I'm originally from New York. I would love to see in the comments where you guys are from, where you are staying quarantined or homeschooling or working your business, or, for those of you guys that are working right now, and you are an essential worker, thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm from New York originally, and I live in North Carolina now. I became a coach when I was 21, and I'm 30 now. So it's been almost 9 years of this amazing business, all of the ups and downs, all the personal growth that comes from it. I started my business in the room over my parents' garage, making $15 an hour with student loan debt, dropping out 3 times from college. Like it has been a journey. And I've also had a few different phases of recognition as my team grows. And what you guys will find, one of my favorite things about coaching and about teaching is that we're all different people who have different learning styles and also different businesses. And so maybe we're just starting out and you just signed up and you're a coach now, or you have a massive team. Not everything is fixed. And we're all going to approach recognition and taking care of people. I'm just going to swipe out the comments. And the number of people that we do have in our challenge groups and our followings and our businesses doesn't change how we love people and how we recognize people, because that is a vital behavior. But it does change our capacity. So I'm going to be speaking to all different activity levels. I want to start off by sharing kind of my recognition story. So to start off, I enrolled with an amazing friend of mine. She introduced me to my husband. She introduced me to this business opportunity. She certified me in Turbo Kick and Pio, and she literally changed the course of my life. In terms of an upline sponsor, for the first few years that I was really going hard in my business, we did have a hands-off relationship. And so I was a coach who, if you've been here for more than 5 years, and if you've been here close to 10 years, you have seen things evolve. Retreats used to be, something that maybe one coach would do after they hit Superstar Diamond. We are just consistently leveling up and adding more fun and excitement to this business, but it's not necessary. And I certainly don't want that to be pressure that you have on you. But I can absolutely relate to those of you guys who feel like I didn't get the recognition maybe that I want, or that I have seen other coaches and other teams offer. So from my experience starting off as a coach, I paid $15.95 just like you guys. This was an amazing opportunity. I didn't know any better. I didn't expect different. And then I started to see these amazing recognition gifts and trips and gestures from other coaches. And personally, I had to get over that. So I want to start off by saying, if you have a great upline, that's incredible. Say thank you to them. They're not going to define your success or your failure. Your upline never will. Take that pressure off of yourself as well, because you might sign somebody up and give them all the perfect recognition in the world, and then they don't do what you hope they're going to do with their business. And then there are people who do not even need a look their way, and they're going to succeed and they're going to figure it out. So my advice to those of you guys who are maybe hearing stuff about recognition and being like, well, I don't get that, or my coach isn't supportive like that, I'm going to give you some tough love that I gave myself, because if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be where I am today. Every time that you complain about what you're not getting from your coach, you either have to make a decision to do it or to drop it. And I want to repeat that one more time. So when you see, that those coaches get a Success Club prize or a shaker bottle sticker or a shout out every single time they do this, I don't get that. Either do it for your coaches or drop it. And it's not because your feelings aren't valid. It's not because it doesn't hurt. But what I want for you more than anything is to use that as a gift. And I'm so grateful for the experiences that I had in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, because every single time I would see that, I'd get that pang like, I want my rank advancement to be a part of a big team goal. I just want to be seen, or I just want to be a part of something. Not only can you create that with the coaches underneath you, but you can reach out to other teams. The network today is so different than it was back in 2011, 12, 13, because there's so much cross-line interaction and collaboration. And what you don't realize is that if you're not getting that recognition yourself, it is the greatest gift. Whenever you feel that jealousy, whenever you feel that, I wish I had that, write it down and either drop it or do it and create that for your coaches. And so the reason that I'm really starting off with this story is because every single time I sort of felt that way, I made the decision to say, I never want my coach to not have a goal that they're working towards. So I'm always going to be pushing for my next rank advancement so that they can be a part of something bigger themselves. It's not about budget. It's not about fancy trips or photos. It can be something as simple as a handwritten note or getting on Zoom together. And if you guys are parents, think about what means the most to your kids. It's acknowledgement. It's quality time. It is being present with them, being authentic with them, showing them attention. It doesn't have to do with the cost of the gift. And if that's something that you do want to start to give these really cool prizes to your leaders as they start to level up, that's such an incredible incentive and extra leverage for you to keep growing your business so that you do have the ability, beyond taking care of the cost of your supplements, beyond taking care of paying your own bills, paying off your debt, you can then contribute beyond thank you notes or beyond Zoom calls to your team. So as we started to build our team, this is wild. So we have now 16,000 coaches in our organization. That is a we thing. I do not even sponsor close to that amount of coaches. And the reason that I say that is when my husband Rob and we built our business together, we still do. And when we first started out building our team, many of you guys are saying, I can't wait to recognize my coaches. I need them. I can't wait to recognize my team in a big way. I need to find them. I need to build this team that I can love on. I need to create this community and this organization that wants this as bad as me. And this is kind of like a little bit of a tangent, but I know that with this business, everything kind of flows together and evolves together. The first, I would say maybe 200 to 300 coaches that were enrolled in our entire team were discount coaches. We didn't understand the business. We didn't share the income opportunity. It was just one big challenge group. And the way that we structured our business in the beginning was organization focused. So I'm going to share with you guys the pros and the cons to that because in the beginning, Rob and my goal for our business was income growth, stability. So we could quit our jobs. We were living in 2 different states and do this full time, pay off our debt. I was willing to forfeit the personal recognition in order for that income stability. And so we built organization focused. And when I use the term organization, what I mean is we had one group for my coaches, their coaches, their coaches, their coaches, our entire organization. In the beginning, that is a gift. You will be able to serve everyone and it won't feel overwhelming. I now don't have the ability to do that, and there's pros and cons to both. I love the saying, new levels, new devils. There is always pros and cons to every single step along the way. But I bring this up because in those organization-wide groups, because I didn't have 200 coaches, but I did have 30 that I worked really hard to enroll. And then those coaches had a few coaches, many of you guys who are in the beginning phases of your business, or those of you guys who are mentors and helping other coaches, and you have bigger organizations, but you are helping them lead their teams. It is such a beautiful time to leverage everybody working together. And so what we focused on to drive volume, to drive income, to drive duplication, like very often, if you think about, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons to both because there are cons. It was a lot easier for me to say, hey, I will do the leaderboards. I will set up the structure. I will tell you exactly which step to take. All you have to do is when your coach hits Emerald, post it in here. Or we will run the reports for the Success Club numbers. At that time, we were able to do that. And so we recognized everybody. Every Success Club recognition. Actually, this is a funny story. In the beginning of our business, Rob and I, early on, because we don't have someone that's building above us. So pretty much every single coach on our team in the organization was on our team. And so we would click on the number of new coaches in your organization, in your coach office, and we would read the name of every single new coach for probably the first 2 or 3 years. And we really had no idea what we were doing, but we had one training webinar, our team call. It wasn't a Zoom, it was a webinar a week. And then we had a specific recognition call where we would shout out transformations. We would read the name of every single new coach in our organization. We would talk about Success Club points. It was literally a 30-minute celebration of recognition. So the pros of that, the pros of saying with your entire team, hey, let's do this together, is that there's more energy. It's a bigger party. There is this, it's not an illusion, it's actually an accurate reflection of the success of the whole team versus you just having this one coach that you're recognizing. So if you can find a way to partner with your upline or use what your upline's doing or partner with another coach on your team or in the network, you will create this party and winning atmosphere. People want to be on a winning team, and it will also save you a lot of energy in terms of having to do it all on your own and create a lot of energy. So, sorry, I'm pregnant and there might be some heartburn burps and heavy breathing. There's definitely already sweating going on. So I apologize for that. So in these organization-wide recognition strategies, it drove volume for us. And what volume means is income, income that is not related to sales. So as our coaches felt like it was easier and easier for them to plug into a community and not have to do the recognition, they were more confident recruiting because they didn't have to create graphics. And so that's something that you might want to consider. Some cons to that is it did stunt some leaders' growth. And I actually want to shout out my coach, Jamie Innes. She has been doing this for a long time. And I just actually implemented it into my organization-wide team page because their team has broken off and is absolutely exceptional. If you want to put the onus on your coaches and your leaders to help contribute to the amount of time it takes to run those reports and do all that back end work to create that pretty recognition graphic, what she does is she has a file in her big coach family team page, and people are responsible for editing this document. And there's 3 categories. So there's Success Club 0 to 4 or 1 to 4, Success Club 5 to 9, and then Success Club 10 and above. And so if you want to be on the recognition, either on the graphic or on the call, you are responsible for updating your own points. And so coaches can go in there and update for their team, but it also creates an independent leadership that right now I'm applying to my business. And it's something that if you don't want to run reports from the get-go, and you're like, listen, guys, if you want this and you want the shout out, then this is where you update. It also saves you a lot of energy, because the people who don't really care about the recognition will skip it over. And the ones that it really matters to will have a place where they can submit their stuff. And a tough thing about this, when you do focus on organization and income and volume, is you don't get as much personal recognition yourself. So you may not be on the leaderboard yourself for highest number of Success Club points, or most rank advancements, or highest on elite or premier leaderboards. But if that's something you're willing to sacrifice to build momentum and to build volume, there's not one way or the other. And there is also a way to do both. Just consider that. The first few years that we were coaching, I didn't need the recognition. I needed the income. And so that's why we were so organization and volume focused. So let me get to the meat of what I want to share with you guys. It's actually very simple, but I have sort of these 3 tips when it comes to note taking. I've gotten really organized since I found out we're expecting our first. And so this is something that I apply that keeps me sane. So my first tip for taking notes, and this is something that you can apply to the National Wake Up Call, any call that you listen to, podcasts, is to take them. Number 1 is to take them. Number 2 is to take it or leave it. And number 3 is to take action. So I'm going to repeat that. Take them. Number 1, take them. You are not going to remember this. You might remember the concept, but you're certainly not going to apply it if you're not taking notes. If this is something that you want to listen to and come back to take notes, totally fine. I do that all the time. The second thing is to take it or leave it. And what I mean by that is that all advice in personal growth and personal development and in the Beachbody community is based on context. I used to get so frustrated and overwhelmed and beat myself up because I would hear all good coaches do this and all good coaches do that. And I have to have boundaries, but I have to be a servant leader, and I have to take the time to do all these things, but I also have to value my time. And so what I want you to say, my way is not the only way. If you have a way that works for you, then leave it. And if you hear something that you like, take it. But know that there is no absolute truths when it comes to good or bad coaching, other than policy and procedures. So I just want to give you guys that encouragement. And then number 3, this is my favorite tip for note taking. So I'm always joining team calls myself. I like to take notes on printer paper. I use a pen and paper that I love, and this is what I do. I take all the notes. So this was an hour-long call. To this day, no matter where I'm at my business, I can always do better. I can always tweak things. So 3 pages front and back. Here's what I want to encourage you with. I did not apply all of this. And so the way that I used to work, we're redoing my office right now. So there's just piles. I wish I could pick it up. There's a stack of notebooks this big from Beachbody events and notes that were well-meaning that I wanted to apply. So this is what I do now. After I take my notes, I take a highlighter. When I sit down to work my business and I'm stuck, or maybe I have a little bit of extra time and I want to upgrade my recognition or do something different with my recruiting, I go back to my notes and I highlight the part of the notes that I apply. So if I see blank paper like this and it shows me I didn't apply any of this stuff, what you can do also is highlight what you're already doing if you're going to use this system. That way it's not a misrepresentation of you not applying the work. And so what I look for one tip. What is one thing that I captured from that call that I can do? And I'll highlight it and then I'll apply it. And that really has helped keep me sane. So back to recognition. On the topic, so I looked up the word, the definition. I always start with that because I feel like it's important to understand kind of like the heart behind why we're doing this. And there were 4 different definitions for recognition. The first was identification of someone or something. And I think that really hits to the core of why it's important. And if you don't have coaches, think about recognition for you from Beachbody. When you step outside your comfort zone or when you take action and you get results for the company. I mean, you're making sales. You are not only making a commission, but you're making income for people that are above you on your team, for the company as a whole. Just to be seen and have an identification and acknowledgement of like, you are here, you matter, you made a contribution means so much. And it also means different things to different people. Secondly, an appreciation for acclaim or achievement, and then formal acknowledgement. So really at the core of it, what it is it's seeing people. It's saying, I see you, I appreciate you, I need you here, I acknowledge what you're doing, like your existence is valuable. And for so many people who maybe they have the salaries at work, or maybe they at their career, or maybe they have fulfillment in being a parent and raising your kids, but you don't often hear, I see you, I see what you're doing, you matter, your contribution matters. I think that as humans, we're aching for that, to feel like we matter in some way or another. And so that's really what the core of recognition is for me, because when you offer that to people, they want to stay longer. And the longer they stay, the better results they're going to get. The quick fix or the quick results or the quick mindset shift is going to become something that is repeated and becomes a permanent fixture in who they are. And that spreads so much further beyond our Beachbody world and even the health and fitness world, because then they start to treat their spouses that way, acknowledge their spouses, acknowledge their parents, acknowledge workers or people that, waiters, healthcare worker. It's just, it's a culture and a lifestyle of I see you, I acknowledge you, I appreciate you. And so it matters to me because it really does help with retention. It helps with reaffirming actions that I want to see keep happening. And I'm going to show you guys a specific example of that, both in my challenge group. Actually, I'm going to pull it back in my social media, in my challenge groups, and then also in my coaching groups. It allows me to reaffirm the behavior that I want people to keep doing. So I do this I implement like this concept for recognition on my social media with my followers, with my challengers, with my coaches, with my emeralds, with my diamonds, with my business builders, with my premier and elite leaders, and with my top 10 coaches. And I never thought I would say that. Never thought I would say that. It's a really cool place to be in, to say, oh my gosh, I have to find a way to recognize my coach. They're top 10 right now. It's a very humbling thing. So John Maxwell simplifies the concept that I use in 6 words. So if there are 6 words that you can take notes on and take from this call, it is to value people, recognize effort, and then reward performance. So value people, recognize effort, and reward performance. And I want to break this down because it's so beautiful the way he teaches. If you guys have never read a John Maxwell book, you could read a sentence or a paragraph and be like good for a year if you apply it. And so what's really beautiful is in this perfect 6-word, 3-sentence piece of advice, you're identifying all the different ways that you can recognize, and also all the different categories that you can recognize. So value people. At the very lowest level, we respect people. We see people. We honor what their goals are. One of the best ways that you can recognize people is asking them from the beginning, what is your definition of success? That is what I want to see my coaches do. It saves me time as a mentor because I'm not trying to help somebody who doesn't want to build a business. But then I also give them an experience and recognize what their goals are, because we're all wildly different people. We all have wildly different goals. And I think it's a really irresponsible thing that I have done myself, just in being an eager coach to push and build my business, to not honor the goals that somebody has in a season of their life that they might not have the capacity. And because you recognized in them what their true goals are, when they're out of that season of depression, or they're out of that divorce, or they're out of that crazy season at work, and they see you showing up, they know they can trust you. They know you value them. They know that you respect them. And they might say, you know what? I think I want to take it a step further. The second part is to recognize effort. I think that, I'm definitely in the parenting, frame of mind where I want to oh my gosh, my hormones. I was an ice queen for 28 weeks and then I melted. You want to recognize what your kids are doing. And it's not about the results. It's about them stepping outside their comfort zone. It's about them helping other people, being kind, better than being successful. It's about how they show up. It's about the journey. It's about the process. It's about who they become. And so if we only skip past that and we only reward the performance or recognize the performance, we miss a really great opportunity to really enrich the culture on our teams of people who want to talk about personal development and share their failures, so that when you do have a new coach that comes in who wants to crush this business, it's already a culture around you where you're celebrating them learning and falling down and getting back up. But notice it's recognize effort. So if somebody doesn't hit Success Club from a business perspective, or isn't purchasing product, or isn't like there is no exchange of the value that you give to an actual immediate impact on your business, you are not required to buy them a gift. I think that's sometimes a pressure that new coaches maybe feel these are all the people that I have, so I'm just going to give them all I have. And it's actually a disservice. I see you. I'm here for you. I'm supporting you, but I'm going to reward the performance. Otherwise, people can tend to get stuck. They're just getting t-shirts and gifts and stickers just for showing up. It can become complacency for them, and it is a direct path to burnout for you. I say that as somebody who has recovered from burnout probably 10 times over the last 9 years. And then finally, reward performance. So value them just for being them. Recognize them for showing up and for contributing to this culture and for learning the lessons that maybe aren't resulting in fruit right now, but then reward either and I can actually tell you how in a second, the performance, the actual activity that is going to drive their business and it's going to drive your business. And let's take business off the table, is going to get them results in their challenge groups or with their personal growth. So you can recognize in a bunch of different ways. Leaderboards are a great way to do that. What I recommend is using something like Canva, canva.com, and creating it once. So one of the things that's really helped me in the last year or two in my business is if you do it more than once, there needs to be a system. And the system can be like that you have a Word document and you're like, say something personal, say something you love about them for the caption. Like it doesn't mean that it's cold or it's heartless or it's robotic or it's structured. But if you do it more than once, the amount of energy and the amount of time that you save with a system is going to be life-changing. And then if you don't have the ability right now to, let's just say you hate creating graphics, or you're like, I didn't sign up to do that. I'm the kind of person that did sign up to do that, and I have to reel it in. Set a goal for yourself to focus on income growth to the point where you can delegate that and get someone else to do that. If it takes you 2 hours to do a leaderboard, but then you could, in those 2 hours, share 3 challenge packs, that means that like essentially you could pay somebody $100 and you'd still make a profit based on what your time is worth. So if you hate it, don't worry. Set a goal for yourself to, earn that extra income and then get it off your plate. I also do something called Thursday shoutouts, and I want to give you guys a specific example. So I'm in a season right now. We're always, as coaches, in a season of rebuilding, because either people take a step back or they grow and they leave the nest. And so right now I have this one coach that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Her name is Pamela. She knows it because I recognize her, or I recognized her last week, and I tell her all the time. And what's amazing is for her, like when I think about Pamela, she is the kind of coach that I would give anything to. She is so coachable. She is so positive. She is so grateful. She is so encouraging. Like her energy, I want to duplicate it everywhere. I want it for myself. It inspires me when I'm in other groups to interact because of the impact that she makes. And so on Thursdays, like many of us in our team pages or just in the Beachbody Network, where we're seeing all of these rank advancements and qualification posts or leaderboard posts, use that opportunity. If you're in a team page with that, piggyback on that and just shout out your coach for being awesome. This may be like an inaccurate Beachbody historian fact, but I believe Lindsay Matway is like the first coach and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was the first coach to start doing like graphics for Emerald and Diamond. And then whoever it was, but I think it was Lindsay, we all were like, that is so cool. We should do that too. And so the things that are in place, just because one coach was like, hey, this is a cool idea, I'm going to do it. And then we success leaves clues. We follow what they're doing. And so for me, I'm really working on rebuilding my culture. I want to work with coachable, positive people. I will give my coaches everything. I want that back. And so what I did is I posted on Thursday in our big coach family page, my whole organization. I said, today I want to recognize Pamela for bringing so much fire back into my life and into our team. Mark my words. She will be our next diamond coach. So I want to kind of explain the process for how I do these posts. She will be my next diamond coach. She's absolutely amazing. I'm using this opportunity to show my other coaches that I'm working, that I'm mentoring, that we're growing, that we're not stopping, that it's not too late to get in, that we are moving forward. This is a winning team. There is action. This is where we're going. I'm also using this opportunity to speak belief publicly, not on Facebook, but in a page with thousands of coaches or even hundreds of coaches. When it comes to groups, it's really funny. Like I said, there's pros and cons to everything. When you have a small group, you're like, oh, no one's interacting, no one's posting, no one sees this, there's no energy. And you're like, I wish I had a big page. And then when you have a big page, when you get interaction, like low interaction, you're like, wow, 3 likes, there's 1,500 of you. And it burns a little bit more. Doesn't matter. It's not productive. But then you go back and go, oh, I miss the intimacy of a small group. And then a small group goes, I wish I had the energy of a big group. New levels, new devils. Everything is neutral. Make the best of what you have while you have it, because it's going to be gone and your team is going to grow. So I'm speaking belief into her in front of everyone else. And then I make a list of what I love, because what you recognize is what other people are going to do. And it's not a manipulative thing. It's saying, I'm not going to take my time to chastise or to correct or to if it's a negative post, I'll delete it, but I'm not going to drag all the people who aren't grateful and aren't interacting and aren't helpful and aren't coachable. I'm not going to look at them. What you focus on expands and be like, oh, guys, I'm going to do a team call on how to be more positive. No, I'm going to recognize what I do want to see happen. And people who are engaged are going to take note. People who are not engaged, you can't engage them. The only thing you can engage them with, man, this sweaty mustache is cute. What the only way that you can engage people is by modeling growth forward with your actions and your coach's actions. So I said in the post, she consistently shows up with a positive attitude. When she's stuck, she constructively asks for feedback and is grateful for the incredible support of not being alone and being on a team. She shares what is helping her grow as she uses it. One of my biggest pet peeves and what I want to change in my team, I hear like 6 months later, oh yeah, I've been doing this thing. I'm like, share it as you're using it. And so as opposed to complaining about that, I'm going to highlight the people and recognize the people that are doing what I want in my culture. She encourages and supports the coaches on her team, even if she doesn't have every answer. She shows up on team calls and she shares her heart. And so that is a very simple way. If you're not having right now with your challengers, if you're not having right now with your coaches, any tangible like external wins, like rank advancements or before and after photos, highlight the activity that you want to see happen. Recognize the effort. So I didn't send Pamela a Michael Kors bag for being awesome. She's amazing. I'm recognizing her effort. And that, along with the mentorship with her, is going to get her to the performance level that I will be able to physically recognize. Oh, this is a silly one. Like versus love. I'm like, how do you recognize? So a lot of you guys, I learned this actually from a coach's husband. And I kind of love this. I find that like in trying to pour love and appreciation on everyone, we're like, this is amazing. You're so great. Loving every post. This person rarely likes anyone's post unless it's really good. So when you get a like from this person, you know it's good. It's almost like it's not a negative withholding love, but it's like as opposed to just one size fits all, like the posts of behaviors that are average, that are positive, but save your love, that hover to a love, on comments and posts for people who are exceptional, and it does make a little bit of a difference. You can also recognize with thank you notes, shout outs on your public pages, access to certain workshops and groups. Never, ever, ever feel bad about setting a standard for your coaches, because you're not taking anything away from the existing, opportunities that they have. You're giving them something to work toward. Retreats at the point where you feel like you have the income to do that. Don't feel like you have to do that. Please promise me you don't don't feel like you have to do that. I want you guys to build solid incomes for yourself. And there are other ways, to recognize your team without losing all of your earnings because you feel like you have to. You're an amazing coach. You can send gift cards. You can take them out to dinner. It doesn't have to be what you see a $1 million earner doing for their team. Again, it's either drop it or do it. Either you're going to let it go or you're going to set a goal that at a responsible time in your business and your income, you're going to set that as a goal for yourself to provide for your coaches. Just make sure with all of like the gift card, monetary, prize-based recognition, read policy and procedures. There are things in place. You can't just incentivize everything. It's a form of bonus buying, and I sound like a wet rag, but I hate when I see people not following that. I don't tell on anybody, but just make sure you're doing it right. Your business is way more important than a compliance issue. All right, and finally, I want to talk about the Enneagram. And if you guys have questions, I'm more than happy to answer all the questions you guys have. But I want to talk about recognition and the Enneagram. The Enneagram is something that I've actually been studying for almost 3 years now. I was introduced to it by my assistant, who is the wife of a pastor at a really big church in my area. If you guys have heard of Elevation Church or Pastor Stephen Furtick, they're one of the most incredible organizations in terms of how they create team culture, and they recognize and they appreciate their staff. And she recommended that I take this, and I'm in it. I am 4 or 5 books deep in this. And so I leverage the Enneagram when it comes to my coaching. If you've never heard of it, it's Enneagram. And what that stands for, Ennea stands for 9, gram stands for shape, like parallelogram, Enneagram. So it's a 9-pointed figure. It's this ancient personality test that doesn't put you in a box. It helps you realize that you're already in a box, and then it helps you climb out of that box. And the reason that this is so beautiful is it's dynamic. So you're one type. Everyone is one type. It's based on nature and nurture. And what's really cool is that when you are, so I'm a 7. When you are healthy and growing and becoming your best self, the point is not to stay as your type. Each type actually takes on the best qualities of a different type when they're growing, and they take on the worst qualities of another type when they're in stress. So what I like about the Enneagram is I really can start to understand the motivators, the core fears, so many different aspects of the personality of my coaches. Now, I don't require this like for every challenger, for every coach. Very often they're kind of like skeptical, and I don't really like to go too deep into this until I know they're here for the long run, because it does take some time to help them figure it out. And that's part of the fun of the process, is when you're trying to figure out what your type is, you get to know the other types. And so the way that I use the Enneagram in recognition, again, if you use this for manipulation, you're not a good person. This is not to try to understand someone and crack their code and speak their language and get your way. It is to honor their fears. It is to understand how they are seeing this business, or seeing social media, or seeing your groups, or seeing that next goal, and to help them through their specific type or their type specific obstacles that are getting them there. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly. The first type is a 1, and I have a few 1s on my team. They are the moral absolutist, very black and white thinkers. So their core fear is I don't want to do this wrong, or I am not good if I do this wrong. So very often they're the coaches that need like all the steps in the world, and they need to know every single possible detail before they get going. They can often sometimes come off as a little bit critical, but however critical they are of you, they're even more critical of themselves. They're very, very hard on themselves. And so as you start to get to know, like you're working with a business builder that is an Enneagram 1, you can speak to that when it comes to recognition, letting them know you are, like, in your captions, in how you publicly recognize them, in how you coach them. Don't worry about the fluffy stuff. They don't want the emotion. They want to know the facts. They want to know the right way to do things. You save yourself so much time and energy. Number 2, the Enneagram type 2 is the helper. And women tend to get mistyped as 2 because socially, with exception maybe to the last 40, 50 years, it's been a very patriarchal, dominant society. And so women have been the helper at home with their kids. It's sort of been conditioned in us. I actually thought I was a 2 for a while. We're also all coaches. So in that regard, we all are helpers. We help in different ways. Another thing to note about the Enneagram is that, like, you might see parts of you in other types. Maybe that's because your type goes to that number in stress, or it goes to that number in growth, or kind of the reality behind this concept is there's a little bit of all of this in all of us. So it's fun to really kind of figure this out. But helpers in particular, they are supporting everyone else constantly. And that comes from the core fear of I am not lovable. So like they really, that their core negative belief is like, I have to be constantly giving to other people, because if I don't, I will not be worthy of love. And they center their life around relationships. So when it comes to recognizing 2s, They really need someone who's not going to take them for granted, because they're going to give you everything, way more than me. I said that earlier. The twos on my team are just like, I'm like, think about your business. It's so sweet that you're liking all these posts and you're encouraging in these free groups, but like, I want you to succeed. And so as a mentor or a coach for a type 2, they also really appreciate specific examples of how you appreciate them or how you love them. So it's really important to keep them on track with selfish goals, which aren't selfish, they're just self-focused. But then also reminding them, because they're the ones constantly giving the love, they need it back more than ever. The 3 is the achiever. And I find that a lot of people are like, yep, that's me, I'm a 3. You can be an achiever and not be the achiever. A type 3, their core fear is that their worth is tied to their rank. Their worth as a person is tied to their car, to the status of themselves socially, and all of there's no good and bad type, and there's the worst things about you are also the best things about you. So in that, 3s really they are driven by competition and succeeding. They want you to applaud their wins, and they also want you to witness them winning. So the more that you can like come along with them and really encourage, like, yes, Success Club, month 2, month 3, okay, let's do this next thing. Oh yeah, I saw you do that. How's your challenge group? Like really going with them on this journey, that's going to fuel their fire. The type 4 is the individualist and the romantic. So this type is all their core fear is that they're not unique. They want to be set apart. So when you have a 4 on your team and you know, like, okay, that's what you are. Any sort of language on like duplication or keeping it simple can feel like a personal attack. Like they signed up to do this their way. So affirm that they can do it their way, and give them the space to feel their feelings and to create from that place. They value authenticity massively. And so you could really, in recognition, hurt them by saying the wrong thing or by stunting their authenticity. And they want to be appreciated for who they are and for being different. The 5 is the observer and the thinker. They're independent workers. Their core fear is that they don't have enough. So they're very quiet in how they work, even if they're achieving. And they struggle to believe that they have enough. Like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. I have to focus. They're really great at their personal business. Sometimes they struggle a little bit in sharing with other people and passing things on to their team or on other team calls. So consider that. Consider the fact that maybe they don't want to be a part of high emotion. They don't want to be a part of like the rah-rah, that they want to be on their own, but find a way to like acknowledge their competency. They love the information makes them feel safe and makes them feel like it will protect their energy storage. So you might have somebody on your team who like hates the public recognition. Find a way, like quietly, or even just ask, hey, like what do you dread about recognition, or what do you love, so that I can give you what would serve you best. 6s are the skeptic and the loyalist. They ask the questions, the worst case scenario questions, because they're always thinking about keeping people safe and fully like being ready for worst case scenarios. So like with them, it's about listening. It's about honoring. They're loyal. They're consistent. Oh my gosh. 6s are incredible when it comes to that. 7s are the enthusiast. I'm a 7, which is why I've read 4 or 5 books of the Enneagram. When I find something I love, I'm like, let's do it. But I really struggle with follow through. I really struggle with distraction. And the core fear of a 7 is like, I will not be taken care of. So that's why we're constantly bouncing from thing to stimulate ourselves, because we feel like we don't have the dependability of someone else providing that for us. So the 8 is the challenger. They're the people that you want to go to war with, but you don't want to go to war with, like against. And they appreciate blunt, direct facts, much like a 1, and they don't like fluff. So like don't pander to them. And when it comes to recognition, speak to their competency. And then the 9 is the peacemaker. And I'm married to a peacemaker. And they fall asleep to themselves sometimes. They're so concerned about everyone else and honoring everyone else and seeing everyone else's opinion and making sure that like things are level and safe, that they very often don't pursue their own goals, or they just don't even know they have goals. So when 9s start to like get this ambition in them, they actually become the achiever when they're growing, and when they're healthy. Acknowledge that part. I know that was a lot to go over, but I wanted to give you guys specific examples of how, once you do have people, how to work with them based on their type. It's beautiful how it works, because you really are speaking their language. And one of my favorite things to do, just search, like once you've figured out, I would do this with yourself first, and then maybe do this with your top producing leaders or coaches that don't drain you, because it does kind of take some time to figure out. And then what you can do is search on Pinterest or search on Instagram and hashtags Enneagram 5, Enneagram 2. They're beautiful accounts that have infographics and different posts about how to encourage this person, or how to not talk to this person. And that will help you take each person and really make them feel valued, feel recognized, and then feel rewarded. All right. Do you guys have any questions? My chat right now is not up to date. So I am going to pull this up on my laptop. Let's see. Newest comments. Oh, so Michelle asked, how would you suggest helping your team get excited for, oh guys, I'm missing all these comments. I'm so sorry. All right, what I promise you guys, someone said, I'm a new coach. I love this. How do I share in a way that isn't pushy? Are you talking about share? Ooh, these are good questions. Sorry, they're all just coming up. In terms of inviting, in terms of sharing, if you mean the Enneagram, I would just post in your team page and see who's excited to take it. Don't force anybody to take it, and work with the willing. If you're talking about, challenge groups and the coaching opportunity, that's another topic for another day. What I will say is the most important thing you can do is get results and model it. Walk the walk. Every day that you walk the walk, truly, and I'm talking about not use the products, be proof the products work. Every day that you crush your workout and you crush your nutrition and you're consistent and you're credible, it will be like 10 invites for you. So I personally don't like cold invites at all. I'd rather crush my workouts even harder, show up even bigger on social media, and attract people. And so I have always found that when it comes to inviting, the first thing you do is you model exactly the kind of person you want to attract. And if they're not coming, you expand your social media, and then you model it even harder. Brandy, my favorite Enneagram book. Okay, this is great. So let's take this from a few different directions. There is a podcast and a book called The Road Back to You. It's by Ian Cron and Suzanne Stabile. They're exceptional. I started off with the Road Back to You podcast, and at first I kind of thought I was a 7 and listened to all the 7s. And then I realized I was kind of bored with myself because I live with myself every second of every day, and listened to all the others. And then I bought the Audible of The Road Back to You. And what you'll find in listening to that, it's awesome to listen to. It does have some spiritual talk. So it's not it's not like a Christian system or a specific religious system, but it does have spiritual aspects to it. So like all religions sort of, and then non-religions sort of gravitate toward it because it encompasses more than just how you think and you feel. There is like a transcendent part about it. But what I really recommend about that is like there's a chapter for every single type in the book, but I listened to the Audible, and you will feel personally attacked when you hear your type. They will talk about all the good things. You're like, I think that's me. And then they talk about all the bad things, and that's how you can start to really get to know your type. And so that is like a really great intro. And then I really love, it's like more of a textbook reference guide. It's called The Wisdom of the Enneagram. It's a blue book. Anything that you find by, the last names are Hudson and Riso, R-I-S-O. They're really like the authorities in the last 100 years on this. And so like it's kind of, Enneagram is like kind of like pop culture right now. But I really like their stuff because they really get into like the psychology behind it, and you can just flip to a chapter and there's charts and there's references. And so I like to use that for my recognition. If I know I'm recognizing a 5 or a 9 or a 2, I look and see like what are they typically insecure about? What do they need to hear? And then I kind of craft that into my post, not to manipulate, but to honor who they are and to honor what they need. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I'll go back in the comments a little bit later today, and I will answer any questions that I can. I hope this was helpful. Again, when it comes to notes, remember, take them, take it or leave it, and then take action on them. And when you do take action on it, highlight it, and you will start to see, you will implement these little things bit by bit. Nobody, including myself, could take all of this stuff and apply it today all at once. Take one little thing, see how you can apply it. And remember, value people, reward effort, recognize effort, and reward performance. Thank you, guys.